Ladies and gentlemen, it's Thursday night, and we are live. I'm Dixie Dave, along with my co-host Crusher Crossan, and tonight we got a very special show for you tonight.
That we do, Dave.
We've we've been covering our stuff. We've been talking about what we've been doing, but tonight the NWF goes international. Tonight we have a very special guest, all the way from the other side of the pond. Crusher, I'll let you introduce him.
It is all the way from the other side of the pond, from Wolverhampton, England, and I'm calling him the what am I saying? The UK's wrestling sensation. This kid is amazing. Wait till you see the footage that we show, and we can't bring him on without his intro music. Let's bring him in here, everybody, and get him on, because it's 2 a.m. for him, everybody. So let's get him on right away. We're going to kind of skip the formalities with the comments. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from UK. Sub Force Arnie, welcome into NWF Rewind.
Good evening, guys.
And that's also Steve Broom, Arnie's father, as well, with him. And it's great to see you guys.
Yes, I mean, we've had a little chance to talk before the show. The only thing that we're going to ask our viewers today, sometimes we allow comments to get tongue-in-cheek. Today, we have a minor on the show, so let's keep the comments minor-friendly.
Yes, exactly. In fact, I'll have to watch my own French a little bit here, because sometimes I drop the not the F-bomb, but I drop enough bad words, and I'll keep it clean. Matter of fact, we got some comments before we get started right off the bat, and I think probably your biggest fan, Arnie, that I know of, King Coop, in the house here tonight, and he's got a comment here. He says, Sub Force Arnie don't play. What he's done is such in a short time is great. So that's what King Coop has to say. He's the one that tipped us off to you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate the comments.
So, you know what? Dave and I have got questions, and I'm going to get through some of these, but for everybody watching, please chime in as well if we have any questions for Arnie as well as we talk to this young guy. So, Arnie, my question right off the bat is, how old were you when you started? And kind of a two-part. How old were you, and how did it all start? How did you find out about this, and how did you get involved?
First, I started when I was 7, and my dad has always been watching wrestling since he was around 10 or something. And then when I was born, around when I was 4, I got into wrestling, and then when I was 7, I just wanted to be in a wrestling academy. Then 1 month later, I was in a wrestling academy.
And so a guy I used to go to university with, he wrestles for a faction out of Derbyshire in the UK, and he tipped us off. So this wrestling company, Slam Wrestling in Cannock, they were looking to start a kids wrestling academy. They've already got the adult side, and they do shows regularly throughout the year around the Staffordshire area. And they advertised. We got in touch. We were there for the first session, and the rest is history. 2 years later, it's going strong. It's still growing. It's good.
Well, another question then related to this: how long did you have to train before they'd actually put you in a match?
Yeah.
5 months?
Yeah, I guess probably 6 months.
6.
Okay.
Yeah, and the first time they had an adult show, quite a big show in a theatre. All sold out, 250 people, 300 people. And then at the end of the show, they put on the first kids match, the inaugural championship match. And he was lucky enough to win that, wasn't he?
So what was that title then that you won?
It was back then. It was the ASWA, the ASWA Kids Championship title.
Okay. And he's held it 1 time so far, right?
Yeah, so far, yeah.
So far.
He was he was the first one.
Well, I had the NWF title 5 times, so Arnie's got plenty of time to get that belt. Right?
And
so that's cool.
I was only national tag team champion once, and that was enough to help the fans decide I deserved Hall of Fame. So,
yeah, you know,
the heavyweight title right away. You're in.
Well,
you're in line for a good career.
We're going to keep talking and asking questions, but I'm going to pull us into some footage of Arnie as well, so everybody can see what we're talking about here. So we're going to go to kind of our watch along screen, but this is not going to be the NWF watch along yet. We're going to look at some of Sub Force in action. So let's take a look at this, and we'll keep asking questions and talking as we go.
Yeah, no problem.
So here we go. This is Sub Force, and for those of you who haven't seen this here in the United States and everywhere else watching NWF Rewind, this will be a first. But I'm telling you, man, these kids are really polished. And I envy the fact that they've got professional training going on behind the scenes, because that really, they can get good quick, Dave. Real good. You know?
Exactly. Arnie, Crusher, if you could bring the question up. We just had a question for Arnie.
Okay, from Sky Sports. Is that the one you're referring to? Yep.
I believe so.
Here. How old is Arnie right now? So how old are you right now, Arnie?
I'm 9 at the minute.
9 years old. So you're the same age as the Super Ds, folks. When they were joined, well, actually the Super Ds were 8 when they joined, but Arnie's got him beat by a year, because wasn't it 7 that you said you started?
Yeah, 7.
Yeah. And he's a heel, I see. Now, Arnie, how did you feel about being a heel?
At first I didn't find it very good. I wanted to be a big guy, but I'm starting to get used to being a heel.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I remember back in the day, everybody as a kid, you want to be the good guy. You want to be the hero. You want to hear those cheers. But what we all found, Arnie, when we got older, is it's much more fun to be a heel.
And it's
you can mess with
easier.
the crowd, everything. Yeah.
It's easier to get the crowd to hate you than to love you.
Yeah. One of our NWF alumni, Jeff Dinsmore, and this is all he had to say. Wow. So he's impressed. Jeff Dinsmore, now a Hall of Famer in the NWF. He got voted in this year.
A 2-time Hall of Famer.
2-time, that's right. Now let's see, you're going against, what was his name again? The Lieutenant?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he still wrestling for the company? Yep.
He was one of the guys who started the same time with Arnie, one of the first guys. And he's come on, well, you'll see in the footage, he's coming on really well, just like Arnie is. And they're great working together.
And I like the fact that Arnie has the same wrestling outfit, that you get to see the same look all the time. That's a good thing. Now, Arnie, do you guys do promos at all? Do you get to do, get on the mic and, do kind of like promos in the ring or outside or anything like that?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No.
Is that something they're planning on or no?
Yeah, so there's an event this Sunday coming up, we've got a kids show over in the village hall where we train. And this event, one of the spots where the kids is going to do a bit of a microphone work. They're starting to have a little chat about it and give you some ideas, and I think we're practicing it no doubt this week.
Well, I'm just watching. He's already known how to work the crowd, Arnie. I see you got that in you. You know how to get him going, and that's what a heel needs to do.
Yeah.
Like Dave said, it's fun. You can, and it's easy too. Really, honestly, being a heel is easy because it's easy to make people boo you because you just have to, get on their case. As a baby face, I'll tell you, it's hard. They have to like you, and if they don't like you, they may cheer for the other guy even though they're not supposed to. We've had that happen.
Oh yeah.
So it's much easier to be a heel. I will say that.
You can play with the character a lot as well, can't you, when you're a heel?
So we got a comment here from Gizmo. He's one of our regulars. Arnie, NWF just had their last Hall of Fame a couple of weeks ago, and the heels did really well in the fan voting. The heels really set the stage for some really good matches. Yeah, you need the heels. They're so important.
Yeah, speaking of which, were you the only babyface that made it in, Crusher?
Oh no, Kelsey got in. There's plenty of us but you're right, though, now that I think about it.
In this year's Hall of Fame.
Oh, in this year's Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I mean, I was kind of a tweener, but
I thought you were talking about the whole thing. All the years we did it for the Hall of Fame. But the thing is, Arnie, we're talking about our Hall of Fame and stuff, and it's been 40 years for us, and we still have a bond with the kids that we did this with. And I have a feeling, in fact, I'm pretty darn sure that you're going to have the same bond as time goes on too. You're going to remember all these other kids that you've been working matches with, and that relationship is going to carry on. There's going to be kind of a brotherly bond that you'll always have.
Exactly. It's as I'm sure you're already learning.
Yeah, it's
Being in the business is
the guys there, and everyone's friendly, aren't they? Everyone gets on really well. They're a great group of people.
So, what was the most challenging part of your training so far, Arnie?
I know.
Putting the matches together is quite difficult.
Yeah, I think it is.
Remembering some of the sequences.
Well, there's a question. So back in the day when we did this, we didn't necessarily have the match planned out. When we worked a match, we would communicate in the ring.
Yeah.
So we would let them know what we're going to do. Is that how it's done still today, or do you kind of have it all kind of more planned out ahead of time?
When they first started, so a couple of years ago, they practiced the matches a bit more and try and build over the few weeks leading up, try and put a sequence together and rehearse it a little bit, just to try and make it look a bit more fluent. But now later on, the last couple of shows and this one coming up, they'll go over a few spots, figure out a couple of the big moves, how the match is going to end, but then they'll generally throw it together as they go.
And then they just have a community. You know, we didn't know this, but we found out later that heels are supposed to call the match. I don't know if that's still the case. Back in when we did it, we would equally communicate. We'd say, all right, usually it'd lock up, and that's when you do your talking, right?
Yeah.
And, but we kind of found out later that heels call. Is that still the case? Do the heels call it, or is it just vice versa?
They kind of do it together, to be honest.
They do it together?
Yeah. A bit of guidance from the adult trainer, but they're starting to trust them and encourage them to work as they go along.
I mean, granted they're not running the league like we did, but Dave, just to see the kids in the ring having matches, this is great.
Yeah.
And honestly, Dave, I don't know if you can do it the way we did it again. You need to have some adult guidance here in today's day and age. You just do, especially with the way wrestling is these days. Notice an adult referee in there. That's a good thing. We used kid refs for a while, but when we started doing live events, we went to adult refs too. It just looked better, but I think for safety purposes, it's good to have an adult. Yeah.
And that day, Aaron is his trainer, so Aaron's trained him for the 18 months, the first 18 months of his wrestling career. Aaron's a great wrestler himself.
Yeah, this is great stuff. I noticed a bunch of T-shirts on the table. Are those T-shirts of you guys or of the wrestling company?
It's some of the adult T-shirts.
Okay. I'm looking for a Sub Force T-shirt. I don't know if that's ever going to be a thing.
Funnily enough, one of the other parents of a couple of the guys, he's getting one made.
So, Sub Force, what was your most memorable moment to date as far as in the ring?
Just my first belt ever.
Getting that first championship? Yeah, it's always a fun thing. I can remember when I won mine too. It's just, you never forget that. You'll carry that one with you for the rest of your life.
You're hoping to get it back soon, aren't you, mate?
I remember reading a comment somewhere that Arnie made. He said, you had a good match, good for winning it, but you're just keeping it warm for me or something along those lines.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. That's a heel talking there.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's get some more questions. We got lots of them coming in. Here's King Coop. This is a comment. He just says he does pretty good heel work. Says King Coop. And Sports Video says, Arnie, do you get to travel much for your wrestling matches?
A bit. Not much, really.
It's mainly local.
Yeah, that's kind of how our league was, is we didn't really get to travel too much. It was just...
And this was a question...
area.
And Damian Thorne's got a question here that I was going to ask, but I'll let Damian ask. what is the worst injury you have received during your wrestling time, if any at all? Well, it looks like they froze up on us. We'll have to wait and see if they come back in. The connection over to the UK, it looks like it froze. So we'll keep this question up till they come back in. What you're seeing here, folks, is training footage. And this is, I think, the stunner. What does he call it? He calls it the Sub Force Stunner. So yeah, we're just gonna have to wait for these guys. They might have to reconnect. Sometimes they have to like go out and back in again and kind of reconnect their connection.
Right.
Yeah. So
You know, compared to what we had, I'm kind of envious of these guys.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. Well,
later on in the NWF, you and Pretty Boy had gone to do some talking with Eddie, and we're getting training advice from him.
Right. They're back
Apologies,
again.
guys.
That's right. No, that happens. It just happens. Happens with all our guests every now and then. So when that does freeze up, just do what you did before. We just have to reconnect.
Yeah, no problem.
No, but we had a question here from Damian Thorne, and I left it up.
Oh, yes.
And I was going to ask this question as well. So what is the worst injury you have received during your wrestling time, if you've received any injuries?
When we first started, our coach gave us a suplex, and I didn't really plant my feet very well. And I kind of twisted my ankle.
Yeah.
Just the impact on the back of both his heels on the floor.
Sure.
Not on the floor, on the ring. But that's probably the worst. But
Well, I'm noticing they're using shoes. That is one thing if there's any advice I could give you there, if you can get, I know you don't want to do it because he's going to keep growing out of them, but wrestling boots, actual wrestling boots, because they protect your ankle.
Definitely.
Just for that reason. They
Yeah.
really do protect your ankles. That's the whole purpose of them, really. So, that would help these kids. But you know what? You get him now, he's just going to grow out of them fairly quick. So,
we forever upgraded his boots.
yeah.
So is this video that we're watching right now,
Mhm.
is that training for an upcoming match that he's got?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is this Sunday.
Yeah, so we've got a kids show this Sunday in Cannock.
And this was one of the later matches I've seen on this
Yeah.
channel. This is Reggie, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that he goes against.
Again, one of the other guys, one of the first guys that's still there, and the three of them really close.
So, King Coop had a question. Arnie, what has been your favorite match to compete in, or your favorite opponent to face off against so far?
My favourite match is Defo winning the belt. My favourite opponent is probably Reggie.
Reggie, the one we're going to see now?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then Gizmo has a question. He said, Arnie, do your friends know that you do this, and do they support you, friends at school?
Oh, a lot. Soon as I was in a wrestling academy, I told all my friends because I thought it was very special.
That's cool. And they all like it? That you tell that all your friends are supportive of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All your videos, isn't there?
Yeah, most of the people in the school.
Yep. This Reggie's pretty charismatic.
Oh, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's a great face.
Sports Talk's got a question. He says, Arnie, I watched this video before and I was wondering what you were doing with your shoe in the match that just ended. So I think he's referring to that match we just had.
Yeah.
In the orange tent.
What was you doing with your shoe?
Trying to hit him in the head.
Oh, man, that's funny because we did the same thing.
Yeah.
with shoes. Yeah, on the Group W cable days, we'd always take our shoes off to wrestle. We'd always wrestle in our socks in those days. My shoe would become a foreign object when I take it off.
Absolutely.
So, and I don't know if we've seen it, but I seen Arnie working on a superplex off the second rope. That's pretty impressive, man.
But,
I don't
Look at that
remember any of
leapfrog.
us doing
Look at
that.
this.
it took some work.
Oh, he reversed it.
They build up. We've got crash mats that we use to practice on to start with. So all the first time they're learning new bugs, it's all done with crash mats and safety mats, and then they'll build up to doing it on the bare ring.
So, Arnie, what is your most favorite part of all of this? What do you enjoy the most? Do you enjoy the working the crowd, or the high spots that you get to do for your moves, or selling for your opponent? What is your favorite part?
Probably just working the crowd.
Yeah, as a heel.
Yeah, because my dad says making sure the crowd boos you is the same as crowd cheering you.
Yeah, those boos are cheers after a while. Yep. And the more
You'll
boos
to
you get, the
point where
better
you
the job you're
crave
doing.
those.
What was that, Dave?
I was telling him he'll get to the point where he'll crave those boos.
Yeah.
And then here we got Pablo Burns commenting. He says, looking forward to more NWF matches in the future. Way to go, Sub Force and company.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we got our regular watch long, Pablo, that we'll get to after we get done with Arnie, and that's still on the docket here. But right now, we're gonna focus on Sub Force, though. So let's see here. We talked about your friends at school. Do you plan, or do you want to keep doing this as you get older? Is that your intention right now?
Yeah.
Look at that snap suplex. Did you see that?
Yep.
So yeah, so this is like kind of your thing, right? You want to keep doing it as kind of. I was telling all our fans that Dave and I, we can relate, because I remember when I was your age, that you have that fire and desire. You just want to be in there all the time. It's almost like when you have a match and it's a good one like this, and it's like you just want to do it again and again and again. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
But before he gets super nervous before his matches, but then as soon as he gets in that ring, he just turns into a different person, and then you love it, don't you, afterwards?
Well, that's part of it.
Rewatching his videos, we're always rewatch his videos.
And what I like is they're doing it the way it's done today. All the dramaticness of getting hit and falling down and stuff. This is very total current style, everybody. And I like that. That's good.
Now, Arnie, I have a question for you. As far as being nervous before your matches, for you, when do the nerves go away? Is it once you come through the curtain, or is it once you're in the ring?
Once I'm in the ring and the crowd is just booing me and booing me.
Yeah. It's always nervous right before. We felt that too, Dave. You remember?
Oh,
those
yeah.
days? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that.
Especially the very first live show we ever did. I always remember that one.
Oh, yeah. I remember walking out in front of 450 people, walking out there thinking, what am I doing here?
Oh, a double clothesline. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Reminds me of me and Macho doing that at the Armory.
Yep.
The
See,
same
when
thing happened.
I used to wrestle, the nerves wouldn't finally break until that first contact.
Only I'll say this though: the double clothesline I had with Macho and I did what they just did. It wasn't planned. We thought we were both going for a clothesline. I didn't communicate it right. We basically clotheslined each other, and it wasn't intended to be a double clothesline. Let's see. Damien's got a good question. Favorite wrestler, Arnie? Who's your favorite wrestler?
Stone Cold Steve.
I knew it. Because the Sub Force Stunner. Yep. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good one to talk about a heel. Now that's a heel to like.
Exactly. That's what I keep trying to tell him.
Yeah. Gizmo says, Arnie's dad, has wrestling helped you and your son become closer?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's something that generally we do together. We used to train Tuesdays and Saturdays. It's nice. It's something I wished I could have done properly when I was a kid. So being able to give him that opportunity and to have a whole new social group, I think it's great for him to mixed with other kids, and he has to work hard. He has to keep fit to do this. And I like that. It's good exercise for him, good creativity, making him think, making him plan. But yeah, we love doing it together, don't we?
Yeah.
I'm his
That's awesome.
biggest fan.
Does Arnie have any brothers or sisters?
No.
No.
Nope. Because my question was gonna be, are they interested at all? But no brothers or sisters. Yeah. Another thing with the training, everybody trains differently. When I met Eddie Sharkey, once we caught his attention, he is a local legend, kind of a legendary trainer here in the U.S. And then going to his wrestling camp, the way Eddie Sharkey trained guys is it was repetition. It would be like one day you would only do like hip lock takedowns.
Yeah.
And it would be that the whole day until you had it so memorized that you couldn't forget it. Is that how training is for you guys, or do you guys work on a variety of things in training?
So generally a couple of different things a session, similar to what you just said. Really, they go over it and over it and over it until everyone's familiar with it. And the next week they might touch back on a couple of the things they did the previous week, but then throw something new in the week later.
I have to comment though. I love the way Arnie just went and said, "How do you like that?" Right? He beats Reggie, and then he lets him know. How has it been for the kids though? Like Arnie, how's it been for you and your friends? Like, is there ever any animosity as far as winning and losing? Do you get into that part of it a lot?
Not really.
No.
We only get into who wins. As soon as the match is like completed, it's just straight into the match and then practice it. And most kids just want to win and win.
Yeah, I just kind of curious because I know back in our time, that was one thing that was hard for a lot of the kids is everybody wanted to be champion. Everybody wants to win.
Yeah.
Sometimes they lose sight of the bigger picture, And as we get older, we see it, but when you're a young kid, it's easy to look past that.
I think when they first started, the first couple of events, if the kid knew they were having to go over in that match, I think they did get a few people a little bit upset. But as they've grown through the business the last couple of years, they understand how it works and why it's that way. And
the other question I was going to say is, Arnie been the youngest, or there been younger than Arnie that have started? Like he was 7.
Yeah,
younger. There's been quite a few. There's a couple of guys now, but there's 3 or 4 years younger. No.
No.
But the youngest is probably 6 now. Yeah.
Oh.
6. Yeah.
Yeah, that's young. But something. Here's the thing: learning this at this age now. You're 9 now, and you're already to this level. Can you imagine where he'll be in 5 more years from now, or even 2 or 3? That's the thing, because you're only going to get better.
Yeah.
And man, that's just and I can't stress enough, you guys. I know we might have some purists of our own fans might say, "Well, yeah, but they're not doing it like you guys did back in the day." That doesn't matter. They're getting the proper guidance and the proper training, and in the end result is they're entertaining people just like we did. So,
and what they're doing is they're doing the current style of professional wrestling,
right? Which is much more
were back in the 80s.
Right, exactly. That's people, because they're so crisp, and if you watch wrestling today, it's very crisp. It's very
polished.
almost very polished. But old school isn't.
Yeah.
And part of that is because, again, I go back to kayfabe. We're trying to make people think this is real, and if it's real, it's not going to be polished. So that's part of it. It's a different style, different era. Let's see. There's another question here from King Coop for Arnie's dad, Steve. What has it been like to see your son wrestle? Who owns the promotion that your son wrestles in?
I absolutely love it.
I love it.
So proud of him. Just.
Do you get nervous at all?
Oh yeah. I'm terribly nervous for him.
You see superplexes and stuff like that going on.
I imagine. I just want him to enjoy it and put on a good show. He's always smashed it. So just to see how happy he is after and how well he's done just makes me really proud. But it's Ricky and Luke. They're married. They own the company, it's Luke. They've got the adult side, which is just rebranded as Battery Pro. They've got some shows coming up. And then, they train the kids on a Saturday for slam wrestling.
Well, let me ask you this. When we did our first Armory show, I remember when I got out of the ring for the first time in front of a crowd, and I had a bunch of kids come up wanting my autograph, which it just caught me off guard. I didn't expect it. But has Arnie had any of that? Have you had any of the fans wanting your autograph afterwards?
No.
Well, that'll come. That'll come. Once you start doing the promos, and see, promos is just as important as the wrestling itself, Arnie, because that's where they're going to learn your character. You're gonna develop Sub Force, and that's gonna go hand in hand with the wrestling.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward. I'm gonna, obviously gonna keep watching your channel, and I think that's gonna be really, really interesting to see you develop that way. Now, King Coop made a comment here again. He says, the proper guidance and training is what matters the most. Learning how to work a crowd, work in the ring, and keep yourself and others safe is the most important thing. And I couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The last thing you want to do is you don't want to hurt your opponent. That's never the intention, right?
The focus is always on safety. And if they're trying to do something new and it's quite clear that someone's going to get hurt, then they'll stop it before it happens. And
Absolutely. And
the kids are all at different abilities. Some can, some can't. And they're good at managing that side of it through training.
In Sports Video also has a question. He says, Arnie, do you like watching backyard wrestling on YouTube, and do you have a favorite channel? Do you ever get into any of the backyard stuff?
No.
It's another form of entertainment. It's sometimes we get, at the NWF, we sometimes get thrown into that bucket just because because sometimes our shows resemble it. But when we did our thing, backyard wrestling didn't even exist. The term didn't exist, so we never had any of that kind of. Back in the day, we never had any of that. But sometimes we get labeled that way. Do you ever have? Well, I know that some of those guys come on the channel and they start talking, they're going to get hurt, and they're kind of in that same backyard crowd, I guess.
Oh, no. Well, we say it all the time. Though. Quite often, you pointed them out a couple of times yourself, but the negative comments. He shouldn't be doing this. They're going to get hurt.
Right.
But he's done wrestling for 2 years, several shows, training every week. He's never been hurt compared to playing football that he does every single week as well. But no one says that kids shouldn't be playing football.
Well, you remember that guy. I mean, I talked to him. I said, you're trying to tell me that you're so concerned about Arnie, who's doing a worked thing.
Yeah.
Where they know they know the intention. They're not trying to hurt one another. And you're worried that he's going to get hurt here, but you're not too concerned about the kids hitting each other with football helmets and pads that probably are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he could get hurt riding a bicycle.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, my opinion is let's let him do what he loves to do.
Yeah.
And if something happens negatively, it's a learning situation for Arnie.
Exactly.
And not only that, Dave, but kids are resilient. You know this. We know this.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at that age, you're resilient. You can take a little bit. And as adults, we can't take it as much as we could when we were kids. Kids are more flexible that way.
Yep. But watch your bump counter.
Well, when Arnie joined with slam wrestling, I was kind of thinking, in and ahhing, I might start joining the adults training. And after a few weeks of a bit of pushing, I got in the ring. I did 3 back bumps. Yeah, my wrestling career over. So I can't take that. Not at nearly 40. I can't do that anymore.
People ask me if I'd ever do it again, and I said I could. I know I could, but I would sure pay for it the next day at this age.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Both Crusher and I mentally, we'd love to be back in that ring again.
Right. It's like riding a bike. And I know I could. Yeah, but Dave, we could do it, but we would pay for it physically, big time.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, you know what kind of work I do now. I pay for it at the end of the week.
But that's why I think this is great, because he's young. You got your whole future, young guy, in front of you here. And I think at having this level of experience and expertise in the ring, really, is just going to go so far when you put a few more years under your belt with this. And by the time you get to 15 or 16, you're going to be just ready for it. Where a lot of guys are not even been trained yet.
Yeah.
You know?
And they got to
You know, Crusher, while we're talking here for a minute with Arnie, I'm going to jokingly say something to him that I've said to you. You know, who knows what's going to happen for Arnie? I mean, you look at it, NWF wrestlers have now been on the show with at least 2 WWE Hall of Famers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We didn't know it at the time, but
yeah.
Yep. You know, back in the day, the Champlain, what was it, the Champlain Legion?
yeah, when we did a dual event with Eddie Sharkey, and we had one of the valets for his wrestlers was Medusa.
Yeah.
She went on to become a
Going on to be
WWE
known as Alundra Blaze.
Thunder Blaze. And then there, of course, was Sean Waltman, who started it all for the small guys. You know, he was coming through the PWA at the time I was there, and Troy were there. The Lightning Kid. What did he was the 1, 2, 3 Kid is what he became in the X-Pac, of course.
Kid and X-Pac and
yeah, he's the one that really opened the door for the smaller guys. You know, he was the one that started it. So, but that's the thing, Arnie. You don't got to worry if you're a big guy or a small guy. Like in our day, if you weren't over 220 pounds, they weren't interested. But now,
and that was even small back then.
When that was small, but now you don't have to be a big monster anymore. You can be at any really size you want. So that's the cool part. Let's see. I know I got some questions. We got another question here from Sky Sports. He says, Arnie and Steve, how can we follow Arnie in the future? Are you just on YouTube?
At the moment, just on YouTube, but we'll be making a channel for him soon. Probably Instagram and whatnot.
Like a Twitter or something?
When that's out, we'll share it on his YouTube channel.
Well, you know, I
start following him a bit more closely.
Right, because I have. I was going to say I've shared his YouTube channel on our links page on our website, so people, you can always get his YouTube channel on the NWF website, and if you go to links, and also we have it right there on the screen, youtube.com/@Sub Force Arnie, right underneath his logo. That's the best way to follow him right now, right?
Yeah, and I'll get his Facebook set up soon. And,
you know, I know for sure I'll be following to keep an eye on where he's going, and
we appreciate it.
Now, can we see? I've got my crystal ball. Are we going to see a face turn at all ever for Sub Force? Do you think?
You never know. There might be something in the works.
Right? Yeah, because you never know, right? Is that something that they'll entertain, or is it your heel? You're going to be a heel?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you have any say in this, or do they just say you're going to be a heel, you're going to be a face?
No, we trust their process and what they say. It's their company, and everyone's on board, so there's no animosity with any decision. It's all done quite fairly, so I'm really pleased with it.
Now, as Arnie, as you get older, are you going to have any ambitions to get into the booking side of things with the company? As far as like running it, maybe promoting it?
I'm probably not going to run it, but...
Not going to run it, but do you have any interest in, like, when I say booking, like, you know, really being in charge, kind of figuring out finishes, how matches are going to go, all that kind of thing?
Helping teach younger wrestlers how to work their match.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, you do help a bit, don't you?
Yeah.
You help do little demonstrations to help the other kids, don't you? But they kind of work. So the trainer will decide who's going to go over in the match, but they will work together. The guys that are doing the match with the trainer, and a lot of the ideas and how it's going to finish is their own ideas. So they're already getting involved in how the match is played out. But they just need to start working on promos now and start polishing that side of the game. Now,
one question that to me would be an obvious question that nobody's asked. Was Arnie able to come up with his own name, or was it given to him by the promotion?
My own name.
Mm-hmm. You made it up, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, and your logo, this all was your idea?
Everything, yeah.
Same with the mask and the designs
Yeah.
and all, I always know the booze and everything. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good work in the crowd.
You know, I see nothing but positive things if you stick with this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I can't, like you said, Dave, you envy him, and I do too, because first of all, Arnie, Dave and I and the rest of the NWF alumni who I know are watching can relate to you because we can put ourselves in your shoes, where a lot of adults can't, because if they didn't do it as a kid, they just don't understand, but we do. So I know the feeling you have when you're in that ring as a kid.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
on my side, I envy you because, you got the training before you ever had a match. I mean,
Which is a
my
good thing.
promoter, it was, I talked to him at a show, said, hey, I want to join. He said, okay, be at this spot tomorrow. I was
He's talking
there.
about me, by the way.
I said, okay, when do I start my training? He goes, today. I said, okay, when do I get to have my first match? He goes, okay, you're up. You're up next.
Dave always said his first day at the show was like, not a word was said. He said, you're wrestling him. Your match is up, third match on the show, and good luck. Yeah, we kayfabed it because we didn't. We want to make sure you're going to stick around before we smarten you up. Yeah. My thinking, my ridiculous 14-year-old mind thinking then was, I got to trust you before I'm going to let you know the secrets, so you don't go telling everybody at school what we're doing here, It's almost like a Little Rascals Kid Club kind of. We had our own kayfabe, I guess you could say. But yeah, no, it's been great. I know it's late, guys, and if you have to, get to bed, we totally understand. We're gonna probably start up our show on our watch along.
If
you're
you'd like
welcome
to
to
stick
stick
around
in.
and watch it, you're welcome to. Arnie, if you're getting tired and want to head to bed,
it's 3:00 in the morning now, so he's gonna get himself off to school in the morning.
Right. So we totally understand.
And if you want to stick around and watch Steve, you're more than welcome.
No
But Arnie, get some rest. One piece of advice I'm going to give you. I know you love wrestling, but also have something to fall back on.
Yeah. Yeah, don't make the mistake I did and put wrestling before school. I put the NWF game first for me. Because it was so hard not to do that too. As a kid, you just gotta keep doing it.
Well, what I'm saying is, even in the future, always have something to fall back on, just in case. If you're watching the current WWE product, look what happened to Big E here a year or so ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just a freak accident happens. He can still move around, but
very lucky. Very lucky.
It's very unlikely he'll ever step in the ring again.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And my advice, Dave, for Arnie is very simple. I don't know what your goal is, but if anybody ever asks your goal is to be world champion. Your goal is to be number one. You have to think that way, and you got to think big. And if you keep doing that and keep working hard, the sky's the limit. There's nowhere you can. You could go anywhere in this business if you have that desire and that lust, really, just to be number one. And that's how you got to think.
To kind of contradict what Crusher's saying, don't be afraid of it when the promoter says, okay, so-and-so is going over you tonight.
Right.
You look at my NWF career, I had more losses than I did victories.
Yeah.
But I still made a Hall of Famer.
And you know what makes a really good wrestler? I've always said this. One that puts his opponent over, one that knows how to sell.
Yeah.
You sell for your opponent in that ring. Not only does everybody, that word travels fast, everybody wants a match with you. And when you get two guys that can sell, that's what gives you those memorable matches that you remember forever.
You want a good example of selling? Go watch the feud between Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Ric Flair back in 89, 1990-ish,
Well, even
I
the
believe it was.
but Dave, even that Cody Rhodes match we just had in WrestleMania,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
another classic example. But two guys that can sell, man, that makes everything. Let's see.
Exactly.
Before Arnie leaves, we did have a comment here from Nicholas Welter. He says, "Does Arnie have an Instagram?" And we talked about that.
Not yet, but he will do very soon.
And then Gizmo says, "Arnie and Steve, thank you for coming on the show this morning for you guys.
Mhm.
American kids will love watching your wrestling matches." And he's not lying there. And they're probably going to wish they were in the UK, I would imagine.
No, thank you very much for having us and showing some of Arnie's footage. Really appreciate you giving us the platform to talk about it.
Yeah, it was great. And look, we'll do it again sometime in a few more years, maybe when Arnie gets a little older, and we'll see how he's coming along. We'll
Yeah,
stay in
no
touch for
problem.
sure. And Arnie,
You know,
keep an eye. I was going to
you've
say,
got
Dave,
Chris's
Arnie, make sure you
contact
keep
info?
an eye on the mailbox because we have a special NWF package coming your way.
Oh,
Oh,
nice one.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. So, yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for coming on. We really appreciate it.
No, thanks for your time.
And good night, Arnie. Get some rest and make sure
yeah.
you make it up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed going to school tomorrow, or this morning, I should say. For you.
Yeah, in a few hours.
Yeah. And keep plugging away. We're gonna keep an eye on you. We're gonna be watching.
Perfect.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a good rest of your show.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon. Bye now.
So Dave, looks like Dave's reconnecting. But boy, that was great, guys. Wasn't that great having him on and seeing some of his footage? I loved it. It just reminds me of being back in the day again. You know, as we were back in that time. And I just for him, for Sub Force, he's got his whole future in front of him. I really wish I could go back in time and be him because and just live it again, man. What a time for that young guy, huh? Very good.